Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm your host, Mike Lasecki. Today, our topic is ATE program funding opportunities and the Mentor-Connect orientation. Today is Thursday, September 13th. Thank you for joining us today. Let me acknowledge that this webinar is being hosted by ATE Central. ATE Central is the information hub for the ATE community, and you can find more about their services and all of their offerings at atecentral.net. Thank you. On the next slide, I'm pleased to welcome our lead presenter, Elaine Kraft. She's the principal investigator of the Mentor-Connect program. Elaine, will you come on, introduce your fellow presenters, and then get us started?
Thanks, Mike. Delighted to do so. It is my pleasure to introduce the Mentor-Connect team. Joining me for today's webinar are my three co-principal investigators for the Mentor-Connect project. Ellen Haas, who works for the American Association of Community Colleges in Washington, D.C. Dennis Faber. Dennis is retired from the Community College of Baltimore County in Maryland, where he was a principal investigator, or PI as we call it, for the regional ATE center focused on manufacturing. Like me, Emery DeWitt is based at Florence Darlington Technical College in South Carolina, where she serves as the Mentor-Connect project manager, in addition to being a co-principal investigator or co-PI. Osa Brand is another senior personnel member of the Mentor-Connect leadership team. Osa has been a PI for multiple ATE projects through her work with the National Council for Geographic Education in Washington, D.C. Tanisha Ferguson serves as a communication and technology specialist for the project, and David Hatta is the project's external evaluator. In addition to these key project personnel, each year we have a cadre of exceptional individuals who serve as mentors for this initiative. Our 2018 mentors will be recognized later in this webinar. Now I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Celeste Carter, who will kick off our program today. Dr. Carter is a program officer at the National Science Foundation and lead for the ATE program within the Division of Undergraduate Education. We love that she is one of us. She is a biologist who came to the National Science Foundation from a community college in California, where, as an ATE grantee herself, she initiated an outstanding biotechnology program. She is joining us today to orient you to the National Science Foundation and the Advanced Technological Education Program, referred to more simply as NSF ATE. Before turning to Dr. Carter, let's take a quick look at the agenda for today's webinar. The agenda is made up of two parts. Dr. Carter will start by giving you an overview of the National Science Foundation and specifically the ATE funding program offered by NSF. She will highlight a special funding opportunity called Small Grants for institutions new to ATE. Dennis, Ellen, Osa, and I will follow with specifics about the Mentor-Connect opportunity and how you can apply for special help with preparing and submitting a grant proposal to the ATE program. You will be provided with all of the dates, deadlines, and contact information needed to take advantage of this opportunity. Mentor-Connect offers special technical assistance and mentoring that is available to those who qualify for small grants for institutions new to ATE. We will help you prepare a competitive proposal for submission to the ATE program in October 2019. Note that we are not targeting the October 2018 proposal deadline that's just around the corner. We believe that preparing a really good grant proposal is something like having a baby. It takes about 9 months to get it right. Even those of you who are not new to ATE, or if you have plans to submit a proposal this October to ATE, you will find that Mentor-Connect provides information that can help you develop a stronger, correctly prepared proposal. Now, we have a question for you. Please type your response in the chat box. How many people are sharing your screen today? We know that some of you are likely to be participating in pairs or groups. Wow, this is great. I'm just thrilled that some of you are doing this together because there will be a lot to talk about once the webinar is over. Now, I'd like to turn the program over to Dr. Carter. Dr. Carter, tell us about NSF and the ATE funding opportunities.
Okay, hopefully the audio check worked and you are hearing me, which is a real pleasure to be on the webinar today. I always love to support the Mentor-Connect project. I think it's been amazingly successful, so I hope that all of you who are listening will think seriously about supporting your next proposal application using Mentor-Connect. So my name is Celeste Carter. I'm in the Division of Undergraduate Education at the National Science Foundation, and I am currently the lead program officer for the Advanced Technological Education Program. And on this slide, you see the new NSF building. So I always say, extend an invitation to all of you if you happen to be in the DC area and you want to come by and see NSF. We always welcome visitors. You just have to give me a little bit of heads up that you are coming and that you would like to visit the building. I enter you in the visitor system and can show you around and talk to you about any questions you might have. So let's see, get this right. So I put this one up. This is a very quick overview of the National Science Foundation, the structure of it. And I really put it up because if you look at that on your screen, there's an awful lot about NSF that looks a little bit like our academic institutions. You know, you can find computer science, math and physical sciences, biology, engineering. You know, it's not that foreign a structure. What's highlighted in red is, excuse me, the directorate in which undergraduate education is found. So it's Education and Human Resources Directorate. We're getting a new assistant director very, very soon, matter of fact, in just a couple of weeks. But Jim Lewis, who is highlighted in this picture, is actually on his way home to Nebraska. And we will have a new assistant director by October 1st. So just to give you a little bit more, you notice that in the middle there's that top yellow box with the Office of the Director, and Dr. France Cordova is the director of the National Science Foundation. And notice to the right of that, you'll see the National Science Board, and Dr. Cordova is a member of that board. That is actually the governing board for the entire National Science Foundation. And I wanted to mention that in particular today because they have fairly recently developed an intense interest in what we're now calling the skilled technical workforce, which hopefully everybody on this webinar recognizes that term immediately because it's any student who finds that to be highly employable, they need more than a high school degree, but generally maybe not for the job that they're going for, a four-year degree, which places the program we're going to talk about, ATE, directly in the community and technical college space. So there is actually a special task force on the skilled technical workforce formed of various members from the National Science Board that are asking questions about and gathering information on community colleges. One of their outcomes to date has been an addition to the data collection arm of the National Science Foundation, which any of you have ever looked at the science and engineering indicators. They've never collected data on community colleges or two-year institutions. And thanks to the Skilled Technical Workforce Task Force, they are starting this year. So NSF is going to begin collecting information on our students, which I think is a great thing that's coming out of having this task force. Okay, so let's move on. How do you find ATE? Go to www.nsf.gov, and there's a search box. And you can either put ATE in, or the current solicitation number is 18-571, 18 indicating that it was published in 2018. I'm assuming 571 means it's the 571st formal publication that came out this year from the National Science Foundation. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, either one of those will take you to a page where you'll find, as it's shown here, boxed, the ATE program, 2018-571, and you can click on that, and it will take you to a page where it shows, currently my name's up on the top. Heather Watson is an engineer who is a co-lead on the program, and we'll have another co-lead shortly. But you see boxed again the solicitation itself. So, that will allow you to actually get to the solicitation. So let me tell you a little bit about it, because it's a very new solicitation. It really just was published, which is why the deadline is a couple weeks later this year than it normally would be. It is a 3-year solicitation. You'll see on the front page there are 3 deadline dates, and for this year the deadline is October 15th. So you can see why Elaine said crafting a full proposal and getting everything right for the ATE program, unless you are many months along in that process, you basically have 1 month almost from today to submit. So it's a good thing that Mentor-Connect is around, and they have the mentors for you, and you have a lot of time to work on it. Some of the changes, the reason we had to publish this particular solicitation is that there's actually some pretty big changes on funding duration and size of awards for the centers track. So that's, I don't think, going to impact too many of you. If there is someone on the webinar today who is interested in centers, maybe you can email me, because Mentor-Connect obviously is interested in the people that are coming in that potentially have not come into the program for a long time or have never come in. So there's also been a change in the maximum budget for different projects. So the small grants for institutions new to ATE maximum budget level has been raised to $300,000, and the regular projects are $600,000. There is an addition of project focus areas, one called Adaptation and Implementation, and another one Instrumentation Acquisition. I'll point out later that it's not just anybody who wants an instrument should come in and request an instrument, but I can talk about that in a little while. And then the eligibility requirements for the small new to ATE track allows institutions to come into this track if they have not received an ATE award in the past 7 years. And that 7 years is from the start date of the award letter. So the day the NSF said you have this award, and it starts, let's just say today, 9/13/2018. 7 years from now, that institution would be eligible to come back in. So it's not from the time you finish an award, it's from that first date. Also, we really like to encourage the open learning approach for any new materials that are developed, and you can read both the solicitation and the proposal and award policies and procedures guide so that you've got everything you need to know about being compliant when you finally submit your proposal. And that's something that Mentor-Connect does an excellent job of preparing you for. So what is this program about? It's really about the education of highly qualified science and engineering technicians for the advanced technology fields that drive our economy. And we're now in we're celebrating the 25th year. As I told you, giving you that definition of the skilled technical workforce, you can see why 2-year institutions, both community colleges and technical colleges, have leadership roles, and they're required to have leadership roles on all projects. When the National Science Foundation developed this program, they developed opportunities for grades 7 through 12, 2-year and 4-year institutions. So I think another really great part of this program is that you can support pathways, which I know there's, career pathways are something a lot of people talk about now, rigorous pathways, all of that sort of thing. You can actually do that type of project through this program. And finally, it's a requirement that you have partnerships with industry, absolutely. Economic development agencies, maybe not as much, but they may be, I talk to a lot of people and they'll say, look, I tried to talk to the Workforce Investment Board people and they really didn't want to talk with me. So if you can't get that as them involved, you really have to have industry involved, because this is a program that is supporting an industry workforce. So we now actually have, you know what, I don't have, hey, well, we'll just keep going. There are actually now 4 program tracks in the program, and that's because that small new to ATE opportunity is still a project, but it's pulled out as its own track. We have always reviewed those projects separately from the regular track where it goes up to $600,000 for up to 3 years. But we never actually called it its own track, even though we treated it that way. So in this new solicitation, it's actually treated as its own separate track. Then ATE projects go up to $600,000. The centers are there. There are 2 types. A center can then transition to a resource center, and the totals are a little bit different there as well. But again, as I said, if you are interested in a center, please email me, and we can talk about that. And then the last track is targeted research in technician education, and that's really about coming up with compelling data and evidence that says we really know, we've really got some best practices that we've developed in partnership with industry around this program, be it the kind of industry advisory board you need. We have the Convergence Technology Center that has the built business and industry leadership team model, and I know a lot of people have adapted that at various institutions to using contextualized mathematics so that students don't get stuck in developmental math and aren't allowed to really transition and persist and complete. So that's the kind of thing that would go into the targeted research track. This just kind of reiterates the different kinds of projects. The red small grants for institutions is there with the new budget maximum of $300,000, but remember, it is its own special track now. And then let me just tell you, adaptation and implementation, it's a little bit less money, but it says that you actually realize that there are materials that have been developed somewhere else. And it could be a neighboring institution, it could be one of the ATE centers, it could be anywhere. And you think you can take that, adapt it slightly, maybe even more significantly than slightly, and implement it in your institution. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, in other words. And you can come in and say, hey, we want to take the material from, let's use the Convergence Technology Center again, that they developed around cloud computing, and we want to adapt and implement it into our program. So you can ask for that very specifically as a type of project. The next one, instrumentation with curriculum updates, that's really needs an industry letter that says, you know, we've always really looked to your program to supply us with HVAC technicians, for example. We've noticed that you don't have the latest trainers for HVAC, or you need an update in whatever piece of equipment is necessary to get your students out the door and have them highly skilled. So the industry says that. You include that letter from industry and you say, these are the new types of things we need to buy. So here's our package of the instrumentation we need to update our program so that it meets our industry's requirements. And by the way, our industry has said they'll work with us in updating the curriculum as well so that it matches the new instruments that we have. So it's not just I've actually gotten emails and calls from many four-year institutions who said, oh, can we just ask for instrumentation for our research labs? The answer is no, you can't. And if you're saying, well, gee, what if we're starting a new program and it is a 2-year technician program? You can ask for instrumentation under the regular projects. This is just a specific area to support keeping the programs that are around right up to the cutting edge so that industry is supportive of that. And then finally, there's also an opportunity for something called the ATE coordination networks. And that's not one to start on. That's one to say you've been part of the ATE community. You also maybe work in an industry area maybe that is involved in different areas and there are trade organizations or things like that, and you want to actually connect and build a bigger, newer network that you think ultimately will impact your program, your students, and possibly all of the partners in the network will have an impact as well. So that's the type of thing we're looking for in that project. Okay, so we've got another poll. What do you think the overall funding rate is for proposals submitted to the NSF program? And I think we're doing it so you can, oh, we're right. It's bouncing around a little bit. It's interesting. All right, so maybe we can take it now. It looks like the majority of people chose 22 to 34%, and I would say overall that's pretty good for ATE. I actually try and push the program towards that 34% or a little bit higher. Below 15% is actually where overall, if you looked at the entire National Science Foundation, the funding rate in many, many programs across the foundation is actually below 15%. Now, for those of you who put 40 to 60 or 75 to 80, I would like to point out that the success rate of people coming into the small grants for institutions new to ATE generally falls within that range. And a lot of that is due to the program officers who work on this part of the program. I will usually be asked if it's a good idea, even if there are some problems with it, if I can negotiate those problems away, can I fund it? Can I make a recommendation to fund? And I generally say absolutely, because one of the things that's important to the ATE program is that every time a new institution comes into this program, we are increasing the diversity of the program itself. So I think that's a really critical thing to remember and to see as being very important. Okay, moving on. So overall, it does vary. This last year, we actually had a funding rate that was higher than 34%. It depends on the amount of money that is available. In essence, what we get from Congress. It depends on the number of proposals that are received, the type of proposal, how many come in centers, which obviously are much bigger ticket items than come in small new to ATE, and overall the quality. The National Science Foundation uses merit review on all of the proposals, so it's not just my decision or any other program officer decision. We rely on a panel of your peers looking at your proposal and providing feedback on the quality of it. Okay, so some advice from program officers. The first one is read the solicitation. And you guys might be laughing as you're listening to this. I can't tell you how many people send emails to all of us, all of the ATE program officers here at the National Science Foundation. And they'll ask a question, and we can look and we go, wow, they didn't read the solicitation. That's on page whatever. Like, can we request instrumentation? Yes, you can. It's in the solicitation. It tells you there's a limit. Another one is choose the right program track. If you're coming into projects, right, come in under projects. Don't say you're a center. Start early. There's Elaine's think about it. You need at least 9 months to prepare. Get help and avoid some very common errors. As a program officer, and all of us here, we are always willing to take a 1 to 2 page project synopsis. We can provide you with some advice and suggestions. Sometimes what I'm doing is trying to network people together. Like if someone comes in and is looking at something in advanced manufacturing or additive manufacturing, if I know PIs that have current proposals in that area, I can say, I really think you need to talk to so-and-so. They actually have a current award now. They'll be willing to help you and talk with you, as well as what the expertise that I can provide to you. Mentor-Connect is a tremendous resource. There are so many things that this program has started and really provides for all of you. And then as well, again, not only just project, but also center PIs. Part of what a center typically does is think about expanding the number of programs and people that are utilizing materials, developing new materials. So we are there for you. We want you to succeed. Be alert to the different guidelines. In addition to read the solicitation, please look at the PAPPG, right, which is the Proposal Preparation and Award Administration Guide. There's even, some people, all of you who really like checklists, there's actually a checklist for preparing your proposal in the PAPPG. It gives you, did you do X, and you can check a box off. So if you like doing that, that's one of the ways you like to prepare something. Check out the PAPPG. It also has a lot of information about compliance issues. One thing I will say, and compliance means you meet all of the requirements of the program, and I guess the easiest one to say is you decide, well, I did read that I'm supposed to use a certain font size, but I don't think I can really tell my story adequately if I use that font size, so I think I'm going to do it in font size 6. And I'm going to reduce the margins on every page to 1/4 of an inch. That will end up getting your proposal returned without review. No one will ever even look at it. So you want to be sure you're in compliance. Be alert to changes. There is this new solicitation that really just came out. So you want to make sure you check for them. I am still getting emails from people who are asking me questions about the publication, the prior solicitation. So again, be alert. Check that. Check the website. Okay, so we got one more question for you. As a prospective NSF ATE grantee, how would you describe yourself? So you're either new or inexperienced, new to NSF ATE, but you've got grant experience. Sometimes we've got TACT people, right? And or you know a lot about it. All right, so let's see. This is great. All right. So the majority of you have had some grant experience but are still new to ATE, and there's a pretty significant number that will describe yourself as new and inexperienced. So this is great because this is really what ATE is all about, and the Mentor-Connect project. So I'm glad you're online and listening today and participating. Move to the next one. So that's it. So, and I haven't actually, since I've been looking at the slides, I haven't sort of looked at questions. So let's see.
Dr.
Sure.
Carter, it's Mike. We do have a couple of questions from the audience, one of which you partially addressed, but if you were to go after a small grant new to ATE, could you start today for October 15th? Is that even realistic?
Well, I think that you'll hear more from the entire staff of Mentor-Connect that you're really pushing it, trying to start today. Now I will tell you that there are people, one former program officer, I remember we were talking about this one day, and he said, well, I started 2 weeks before, and I got funded the first time I submitted a proposal. So maybe it's what kind of person are you? Are you the type of person that can, under a lot of pressure, put something together like that, get the industry partnerships that you need, get the approval of everything going through your institution, or do you think it would be better to take more time? And I will leave it there and let you decide.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's a good answer. A little more details, but you talked about industry letters. Now, here's a colleague that's developing a proposal that involves professional development for educators in school districts. So in a way, that's their client. Would a letter from them be considered an industry partner?
I think not so much an industry partner, but certainly a very important partner because you would want the buy-in from them. If you think about professional development for educators in terms of ATE, you want to think about having teachers that understand the career opportunities within all of these advanced technologies. So it could be that maybe you would have an industry partner in addition to your school district maybe it's a local company. I don't know. Maybe you're close to a BMW plant or a small manufacturer, and they would be willing to come and talk to the educators that you would have for professional development about opportunities and career pathways in their particular area. You know, be it everything from automotive design and development to maybe even a small CNC company, you know, that sort of thing.
Just a brief clarification, Dr. Carter, the 7-year funding limitation only applies to the small grants new to ATE.
That's correct,
That's correct, right?
Yes.
Thank you. We want to make our proposals as competitive as possible. One of our colleagues said, should I try to get a support letter from an elected representative? Would that help?
It actually doesn't, and this is one great place to say again, please read the PAPPG. No support letters can be submitted. And that's a general letter that just says, you know, I know this instance, and we do get these from representatives. I know this institution, these faculty are wonderful. I strongly support funding this proposal. These days, that type of letter can get your proposal returned without review. The ATE does still allow you to submit a letter. The PAPPG says you can't submit any letters anymore. But ATE allows you to do that, and it's a good point to say the solicitation always wins over. I used to say trumps, and I don't know whether I should say that anymore. Right.
You don't say
right.
that anymore, huh?
Yes, wins over the PAPPG. So for ATE, what you want is things like, if it were from a school district, it's like we will send our teachers for these professional development opportunities, and we will support them when they come back with new materials that they want to integrate. If it's an industry person that maybe would come and give a seminar at the professional development workshop, I am so-and-so from company X, I agree to come and provide information about the career pathways leading to the kind of job opportunities that are available in my industry. Those are the ones you want to have there. You're convincing a panel of reviewers that you've really thought things through, you've got a workable plan, and you've got the people behind you that are going to help you carry out that plan.
Those sounds like very key success factors, so thank you for that. One last question, and then we'll let you go today. I know you have a number of things on your schedules. The principal investigator is an important part of these proposals. Do they have to have a PhD?
No, they do not. What you want in as your principal investigator is a person that has the expertise to carry out the project. And you know, we all know there's a whole diversity of people within every community college, starting with our students and going all the way through our faculty. Every once in a while, you know, I get these types of emails, and sometimes it's someone who'll say, well, you know, I have a bachelor's degree, but I have 25 years of experience in the industry for the program that I run here. It seems to me, I would say, and I think a panel of reviewers would say, that's the kind of expertise we want. So that's the thing that you want to think about when you think about PIs and co-PIs.
Excellent response. Dr. Carter, I wanted to thank you because you've made a long-term commitment to the program. You've really helped this program grow, and we appreciate all the information that you've presented today. The rest of the panelists are going to carry us forward. I know you have other things on your schedule, so I wanted to thank you again for being part of this
thank
today.
you all very much, and I will look forward to seeing your proposals in the future.
Thank you again, Dr. Carter.
Bye-bye.
Let's turn our presentation back to Elaine Kraft. Go ahead, Elaine.
Okay, thanks, Mike. You might ask, why has the NSF ATE program funded Mentor-Connect? One reason is that too few technical and community colleges have benefited from NSF funding. When Mentor-Connect was initially funded in 2012, only about a third of community colleges in the country had received one or more NSF grant awards. That left 2/3, or about 800 two-year colleges, without. Changing these statistics is one of Mentor-Connect's goals. As you have no doubt discovered, it is very challenging to win a grant award. Requirements are constantly changing and competition is stiff. Community college faculty typically have little, if any, experience in generating grant proposals. Not every community college even has a grant writer, or a grant writer who is familiar with the NSF funding and proposal procedures. And in the past, there were very few places where a prospective grantee could get help. So while the nation desperately needs the highly skilled technicians that community colleges prepare, it is very challenging to secure grant funding to initiate, grow, or improve technician education programs. That's where Mentor-Connect comes in. What we know is that mentoring is an effective way to stimulate knowledge transfer, share best practices, and improve outcomes, especially in the ATE program that has created a community that willingly shares. With the number of projects that the ATE program funds each year, an incredible amount is being learned about what works and what doesn't in technician education. Mentor-Connect guides technician educators through the grant proposal process and helps prospective grantees leverage ATE program resources, know-how, and networks. What really makes this work is our Mentor-Connect mentors. These mentors are highly experienced ATE grantees, some of whom have been NSF program officers, who give back to the ATE program by helping those who are new to ATE learn to prepare competitive grant proposals. Mentor-Connect technical assistance and instruction is coupled with the opportunity to be mentored by someone who has personally been down the path many times before. In a few minutes, we will share with you some statistics so that you can see how the Mentor-Connect system can improve your chances for success. The Mentor-Connect support system is made up of 3 parts that are delivered both face-to-face and online. We help educators develop good projects and competitive proposals for the ATE program. We select mentors and prepare them to assist both potential and funded principal investigators. And we work with STEM faculty principal investigators. That's the term NSF uses for the leader of any project the agency funds. For each project, there is one leader, the PI, and there can be up to 4 co-principal investigators or co-PIs on any NSF project. In the third important component of Mentor-Connect system, we work with PIs and co-PIs to develop leadership skills that improve project outcomes. It is our expectation that some of these new PIs will one day become mentors too. The key Mentor-Connect goal is to increase the geographic diversity of colleges winning ATE grant awards and the demographic diversity of faculty who serve as principal investigators for those awards. We offer several levels and types of support designed to increase the likelihood that the proposal you submit will be competitive and of high quality. What you learn through the Mentor-Connect experience prepares you not only for success with your first grant, but also for future ATE proposal success as well. And I might clarify here, Mike, that when we were talking about the new to ATE grants, that is the special funding category. Those grants are reviewed only with other small new to ATE project proposals. The funding rate is higher for new to ATE, and that is the one track that has that 7-year limit on when you can come back in for another one of those particular types of grants. For other ATE grant proposals, there are no such limits, so I just wanted to make that clear. In Mentor-Connect, we want to assist as many of you as possible through our annual cohort faculty development and mentoring program. However, if your college applies to Mentor-Connect but is not accepted into the next cohort, we have other specialized help for you. In short, Mentor-Connect is a win-win, no-lose proposition. If you aren't selected for a Mentor-Connect cohort, we provide other types of one-on-one help. If you submit a proposal to ATE that does not get funded, we will help you recover, strengthen your proposal, and try again. After you receive your first award, we provide startup help and leadership development opportunities for faculty. In summary, all levels of Mentor-Connect support are designed to bring more two-year colleges into the ATE program, to diversify the NSF ATE program, both geographically and demographically, and to grow a new generation of STEM faculty leaders for advanced technological education. In summary, Mentor-Connect helps you prepare for funding to support projects that are aligned with the goals of ATE program. And being an ATE grantee will enhance your development as a STEM leader in technician education. Note that the words technician education are underlined. That just is to emphasize that, that very clear focus of the ATE program. Mentor-Connect can help you benefit from and someday give back to the ATE community. So with this, I'm going to turn it over to Osa, who will provide more in-depth information about this mentorship opportunity. Osa?
Thank you, Elaine. I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about how our cohorts are structured and how the mentoring process works. Mentor-Connect selects a new team every October, and so far we've had 6 cohorts, each consisting of 20 college teams. They work with 2 faculty members and 2 grant writers or 2 college administrators when they come to us for the first event, the winter workshop. The faculty members are the individuals who direct the project if it's funded. In NSF terminology, they're the principal investigator or the PI and the co-PI. The team in the picture is from Central Oregon Community College, and they're a typical combination of the PI, co-PI, a grant writer, and an administrator. The mentoring process begins in January with preparations for the winter workshop that include communicating with mentors who've been assigned to each team about the planned project. The 3-day winter workshop is held in January or early February, and our next one is scheduled for early February in New Orleans. This is when all the new cohorts get together with their mentors and the Mentor-Connect staff to learn the essence of what's involved in developing a fundable ATE proposal. We're often fortunate to have an ATE program officer join us for this event. The winter workshop includes ample time for mentors and mentees to discuss ideas for shaping their proposals and to develop plans for working together via conference calls and email exchanges over the next 9 months. Ellen will tell you more about how the workshop is structured later on in the webinar. During the next few months following the winter workshop, we offer webinars that focus on various aspects of proposal development. They provide technical assistance that will see the teams through specific tasks like developing the budget, and you'll hear more about the webinars from Elaine. In the summer, we host a Mentor-Connect workshop in conjunction with the annual High Impact Technology Exchange Conference, or HITECH. The teams, mentors, and Mentor-Connect staff meet for a full day before the conference, and all teams are invited to participate in the HITECH conference for another 2 days. Many of you probably know that the HITECH conference focuses on community college technical education, and it's a great opportunity to learn about innovative programs and to expand contact networks. Lastly, all participants have access to a wide range of resources on the Mentor-Connect website and to help desk support from our staff. You'll hear more about that from Elaine later in the webinar. Now let's take a look at the financial support that's available to Mentor-Connect participants. The project will reimburse the travel and hotel costs for the winter workshop, up to $1,200 each for the PI and 1 co-PI. In addition, breakfast and lunch are provided every day of the workshop. The one-day summer workshop offers the same reimbursement, up to $1,200 plus breakfast and lunch, and the high-tech conference waives the registration fee for all teams. We really encourage teamwork. We've learned a lot from each cohort about how valuable the grant writers and often the administrators are in the proposal development process. And we're really pleased to be able to include up to 2 such participants per team at the winter workshop. Unfortunately, our budget doesn't allow us to cover their costs, so we need to ask the teams who want to include them in the winter workshop to seek college funding for transportation, as well as a $475 registration fee for administrative expenses, meals, and materials. As a mentor, I find their involvement, especially that of the grant writers, absolutely invaluable. The photo shows my own current mentees from North Iowa and South Arkansas community colleges at the last winter workshop. The North Iowa team included a grant writer on the far left and an administrator who's the chair of the industrial division, third from the left. She'll serve as the project sponsored research officer, or the SRO, and that's the title of the administrator who follows the proposal development and has a key role of submitting the proposal to NSF. The South Arkansas team included a grant writer in blue with her back to the camera. Their roles during our work sessions were really impressive. Neither team would have accomplished as much as they did if only the PI and the co-PIs had participated in the workshop. We recognize that the grant writers, the SROs, and other administrators who attend the winter workshop have specific interests that need to be addressed. So we offer separate tracks that deal with their concerns during part of the workshop. At other times, they participate along with their faculty in the regular sessions. We know from their evaluations how highly these participants value the workshop experience. Grant writers especially appreciate the opportunity to learn firsthand about the ATE proposal requirements and to develop a working relationship with the mentors. And now I'll turn you over to Ellen, who will ask you for some information in an informal poll.
Thank you, Osa, and hello, everyone. We'd also like to get a sense, we know some of you are watching together, but we'd like to get a sense of who you are in the audience today. If you could give us a sense of your current role at the institution, if you're a faculty, administrator, grant writer, or other. If you're other, we're interested in having you enter that into chat. So it looks like results are coming in. We have a good number of faculty, a good number of grant writers, and some administrators. It looks like we have some teams being assembled already, and that's great news. Okay, thank you, Mike. Let's move forward. So I just want to review who is eligible to apply for Mentor-Connect. So 2-year community and technical colleges are eligible to apply if you've never before received an NSF ATE grant, or if you've not received grant funding in the past 7 years. And if you are unsure if your college has received a past ATE grant, I just put into chat, and I'll mention here, you can check with your college business office, or you can also search NSF's award database. You can access the database, search for awards in an expanded search, enter the program element code 7412, which would limit your search to just ATE awards. And you want to make sure you check the expired awards box, and that will pull up if your college has been funded previously by NSF. So if a past award comes up, you can check it to see if it's been 7 years since receipt of that award to determine eligibility, and the 7 years is based on the initial award date and not when the grant ended. So Mentor-Connect is seeking STEM faculty teams that are working to prepare technicians in the STEM fields for the U.S. workforce, and we ask that you limit 1 team application per eligible college. We do this to ensure we can provide the best assistance to your team, and also so your college is not competing against itself in the ATE grant competition once grants are submitted. In terms of who is encouraged, we encourage submissions in STEM technician education discipline areas that are relevant and of interest to NSF ATE, such as cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, biotechnology. Again, as Celeste said, read the solicitation and make sure what you're proposing aligns with NSF ATE areas. And we also strongly encourage applications from rural colleges and underrepresented STEM faculty. OSA talked a little bit about the workshops. Mentor-Connect offers technical assistance through hosting 2 in-person workshops where teams have the opportunity to work directly with their mentors. And the winter workshop, which kicks off the Mentor-Connect mentoring period, will be held February 5th through 8th, 2019 in New Orleans, Louisiana. At the workshop, teams will have designated time to work with their mentors as well as gain grant writing skills and tips for preparing competitive grant proposals for NSF's ATE program. And a highlight of this workshop is the mock panel review session, where participants have the opportunity to read, review, and be privy to actual NSF ATE proposals and reviewer comments. So these are real grant proposals that were submitted by prior Mentor-Connect cohort participants who are sharing them with future cohorts for the purposes of learning. And there's no better way to learn how to write a proposal than to actually read an actual proposal and go through a review process and see what the reviewers are looking for and look at those reviewer comments. So, looking at these comments is really an invaluable experience, and it's designed to strengthen your team's proposal development efforts. And we consistently get really great feedback from participants on the positive value and impact of this exercise. You will develop leadership skills. It is faculty leaders who drive the ATE program. And as Osa mentioned, the workshop also includes special sessions for grant writers and administrators. Your primary team will be 2 faculty members, but 2 additional staff are eligible to attend to be active members of your team. And our most successful teams have historically included a grant writer and an administrator when attending. Mentor-Connect, again, convenes the cohort in the summer to attend the High Impact Technology Exchange Conference, and this was put on and organized by ATE Centers and Projects. And the summer workshop will be held July 22 through 25 in St. Louis. And in addition to having the opportunity to attend the High Tech Conference, which is a wonderful opportunity to really learn about the ATE program and leverage resources, is that Mentor-Connect provides a one-day workshop on the front end of that conference to allow more team time with your assigned mentor, additional grant writing technical assistance, and advice and guidance from prior Mentor-Connect mentees that have gone on to successfully be awarded ATE grants and are now ATE PIs running grant projects. So we allow you that opportunity to engage with those that have been in your shoes and are now successfully implementing ATE awards. And now I would like to turn it back to Osa to walk you through some snapshots of prior cohorts. And I went too far.
Thanks, Ellen. The next few slides will give you a glimpse of the activities at our winter workshops. These photos are from our first 2 workshops with Cohort 1 in Portland in 2013 and Cohort 2 in Atlanta in 2014. We selected them to give you an overview of some of the activities that are scheduled during the 3 days. So going clockwise from the top left, this is a photo from one of the mentor-mentee work sessions. What we wanted to illustrate here is how enjoyable it is for the mentors, in this case Peggy Weeks, and the mentees to get to know each other during those sessions. The next photo shows 2 team members in the main meeting room, listening very attentively to a presentation by Mentor-Connect staff. Then we have 2 photos of teams working independently, both really intent on incorporating new ideas and strategies into their project plans. In the last photo, a PI and co-PI are explaining their project ideas to other cohorts, and I'm sorry I skipped along too fast. So we'll continue with the slide. In 2015, we met with Cohort 3 in St. Petersburg, and in 2016 with Cohort 4 in New Orleans. These photos all focus on mentoring. We chose the first 3 to show the teams actively at work with their mentors. Clockwise from the top left with Mel Cassette, Vince Denoto, and Casey O'Brien. The last photo is one I especially like. It illustrates how members of 2 different teams often end up sharing information and in effect mentoring each other as a result of working at the same table with a shared mentor. The last set of photos shows Cohorts 5 and 6 during the New Orleans Winter Workshop in 2017 and the Fort Lauderdale Workshop in 2018. Here we wanted to show you a couple of ways, in addition to the mentor-mentee work time, in which we keep the teams actively engaged. The top 3 photos were taken at the culmination of one of the most valuable events during the workshop, when the teams are split up into groups of reviewers charged with rating real ATE proposals according to NSF procedures. And these photos are from the reporting out. You can see Ellen recording the votes that were cast by members of each group of reviewers for one of the proposals. In the bottom row, 2 teams are making their elevator speeches, giving a concise explanation of the goals and objectives of their project, all in the time it takes for a ride in the hotel elevator. This event comes near the end of the 3-day workshop, and in addition to being a lot of fun, it never fails to impress us how much the teams have advanced their original project plans. And now we'll move on to something different and look at the success data. I'd like to tell you a bit about what we've achieved, both in involving colleges across the country and in helping those colleges submit winning proposals. As you can see by the map, the 6 cohorts that have participated in Mentor-Connect to date come from all parts of the country, with 101 colleges representing 31 states. The participants include 202 faculty and 115 grant writers or administrators. And 10 mentors work with each cohort each year, with 2 teams per mentor. To date, we've had 19 mentors working with the project. As the project goes on, it's inevitable that some mentors have to move on to other pursuits. Excuse me. In 2017, we began a systematic process of inviting prospective mentors to join the project staff for a year of learning the ropes as mentor fellows, so that they're prepared to replace mentors who move on. We've now worked with 5 mentor fellows and are looking forward to recruiting more for the coming year. As you can see from the information in the first 2 bullets on this slide, our cohorts have done well in the annual ATE grant competition. Since the beginning of the project, 86% of our college teams have submitted proposals, and 44 of the 63 submissions to the small grants program were funded. That's an impressive 70% success rate. A few of our cohorts submitted ATE proposals in the project category, which is more competitive than the small grants category. And if we include them, we still have an overall success rate of 63%. It's still impressive, especially since Mentor-Connect focuses really on the small grants program. As Elaine explained earlier, teams whose proposals are rejected are always offered assistance with revisions and resubmission in the following year, a process we call second chance mentoring. You might be interested in knowing something about the level of competition for participating in Mentor-Connect. The number of applications varies from year to year, but overall we've been able to accept 65% of the teams who apply. Excuse me. One statistic that we're very pleased to report is that among the colleges that were not accepted to participate when they first applied, 100% of the 17 that reapplied have been accepted. Mentor-Connect staff are always willing to discuss rejected applications and offer guidelines for resubmission. And now I'll turn you over to Mike for some questions.
Thank you, Osa. I have a couple of questions, but I'd like to turn first to Ellen. Ellen, could you turn your microphone back on? It has to do with eligibility for the Mentor-Connect program. One of the questions that came up was that this is a multi-campus system. Can colleges from different colleges in a system apply for Mentor-Connect? Ellen, can you open up your microphone? Elaine Kraft, can you open up your microphone and perhaps respond to that question?
Sure, Mike. Just restate it quickly to make sure I'm answering the right question.
So the question is, and let me just pull up the question here, if a different campus of a college has been funded, is the campus still eligible for Mentor-Connect? You know, you can have a multi-campus system.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point. If your college has branch campuses, those branch campuses are eligible for small grants for institutions new to ATE and eligible for Mentor-Connect if that branch campus has its own chief academic officer at that location. That's the way the ATE program has chosen to interpret that, and we have had in Mentor-Connect colleges that did have branch campuses that met that criteria and have participated in Mentor-Connect.
So that's interesting. So in other words, not just a satellite office, but a real separate campus with, as you say, a president or a chancellor or something like that.
Exactly.
Excellent. Elaine, as long as I have you, we had a question come up. How do you find your sponsored research officer, SRO? If you're in a college, how do you know who that is?
Well, if you, this is a person who would typically upload grants to funding entities, typical federal agencies for the college. These are individuals who are trusted by the college to have that responsibility and to be responsible for committing the college to whatever requirements there are of that funding agency, and there are requirements of NSF when you sign off and upload a grant proposal. Not every college has a sponsored research office. That terminology really comes out of the four-year research university world. And some of our larger community colleges and community college systems do have fairly large grants offices and people who fill these roles. Small colleges may not have, and don't panic if you don't. There are things that you can do and people at the college who can assume this responsibility. And that's one of the things Mentor-Connect can help you do is help you understand what the role of that individual is and who at your college might be an appropriate person to serve in that role. NSF does not want the principal investigator to be that person. It needs to be another person at the college.
Right. I have one more question before we move forward. And Elaine, if you don't mind, I'll address it to you. They're getting ready. I'm getting ready to apply for Mentor-Connect. I've got an idea. Is that enough to apply, or do I have to have it much more fleshed out before I apply?
No, you just have to have an idea. And that idea needs to be related, obviously, to something that applies to the ATE program. It might be a way to improve your program, expand your program, institute something new. Typically, if you want to start a brand new program from scratch that has never been taught in your area, that's a little bit ambitious for a small grant for those new to ATE. It's really probably better to work on something that's already started and that you want to improve in some fashion. If you've got an idea and you're not sure whether it's a good idea, whether it would work for Mentor-Connect, we're happy to provide feedback. Just like Dr. Carter said about grant proposals, that you can send them a one-page concept paper and they'll give you some feedback. We at Mentor-Connect are certainly willing to give you some feedback on the idea that you were going to propose for your team to work on if you're selected for Mentor-Connect. We'll be happy to do that too.
Excellent. Thanks, Elaine. Our timing is looking good. I'm going to advance the slide, and we're going to turn over to Dennis now to take us to the next section.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to talk a little bit about the application and selection process and fill you in on some of the details. The application package is now available. I think Marcy just asked that question. It is available on our website, and it asks for the following kinds of things. It asks for some information on the college. It asks for a one-page description of your anticipated project, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We need information on the faculty participants. If there are going to be optional grant writers or administrators participating, we need some information on those folks. We need an affidavit of support from your president or dean for your participation and commitment to the Mentor-Connect program, and in fact, commitment to submitting a proposal. And the idea is to have one application per college, and the reason for that is that it eliminates possible grant competition later should both of those go forward. The selection process, each applicant is offered help from Mentor-Connect. We'll select 20 colleges, as Osa mentioned earlier, and you see the notification date on your screen. For those that are not selected, you'll receive an opportunity for one-on-one consultation. What can you do differently? Is my idea worth pursuing? Those kinds of questions. We'll certainly offer invitations to all of you to participate in our technical assistance webinars. There are 4 that are scheduled in the spring of next year, and those tend to be on parts of the application process that sometimes create some problems for folks. And you certainly have access to our online resources. The selection criteria, we have a number of those. One is that your application is complete. The second is that your college is small grant eligible, and there's been some conversation in the chat box about that. Again, 7-year window. If you have not had ATE funding in the last 7 years, you're eligible. And the multi-campus exception or opportunity that was discussed earlier applies here. We need a good idea. I would say that given the level of competition for a slot in the Mentor-Connect program, the more that you can tease your idea out will be an advantage for you. That good idea should tell us why it's important to your college and why would NSF ATE want to fund that idea. And as you look at the application, there are some very specific guidelines about that one-pager, and I would encourage you all to focus on those things. The final is the technician education focus. Excuse me. We want it focused on technician education. There are some things that cross over some boundaries that sometimes raise some questions, but it has to be good, advanced technological education area of interest. STEM faculty team should be highly interested. And a couple of notes about that. We already mentioned that you're not required to have a doctoral degree. Full-time faculty are preferred. We would exercise caution, or encourage you to exercise caution on including adjuncts and continuing education faculty. And the reason for that is that there's no guarantee that they'll be around unless there's some commitment to them over a long period of time. We're looking for some commitments on the part of the college that the faculty time necessary for preparing the proposal and then doing the work, should the proposal be funded, is going to be available. So that highly interested also comes with a couple of pieces to it, I think. The geographic diversity of the institution is something we're looking for. We're trying, as folks mentioned earlier, extend the reach of the ATE program. And we look to balance or broaden the diversity of those from different parts of the country. And the same is true about the demographic diversity of faculty team members and, in fact, the students. Excuse me. We have some expectations for you. Please read the acceptance or decline letter thoroughly. If you're accepted into the cohort, you need to register and prepare for the winter workshop. It's a quick turnaround. You need to move on it as quickly as you can. If you're declined in terms of acceptance into the cohort, we'll give you an opportunity to sign up for some one-to-one consultation with your team members. We ask you to establish early contact with your assigned mentor. You will know your mentor once you're accepted into the program, and we do expect both you and the mentor to make efforts to get connected prior to the February workshop. And the most important thing that should be underlined, that should be flashing, is if you have any questions, please ask them early and often. Your mentor's role is to assist the team during the various workshops that have been mentioned already. You'll get approximately 36 hours of customized mentoring and consulting. You'll get guidance on getting your proposal together, how to strengthen your topics, how to refine your ideas and strategies, how to connect to other ATE resources or folks in the ATE community that might be of value to you, and help in addressing NSF and ATE requirements. Please note, it's not their job, your mentor's job, to write your proposal. It is their job to help you write a successful proposal. And we do ask that you establish some contact on a regular, frequent basis. We found that to be one of the key factors for success in getting a good, strong proposal in place. You see a picture of our 2017-18 mentors. All of these folks have been PIs, co-PIs, center and project directors, grant review panelists. They've served in ATE leadership roles. They've served in leadership roles at their colleges. They've done various conference presentations, including the ATE conference, and they're well-experienced, well-committed to helping you be successful. There'll be a few changes to those folks. Every year we have some folks drop in and drop out, which is a nice part of having a fresh bunch of mentors every year. So we have a poll for you. Do you plan to apply for the Mentor-Connect project this year? Thanks, Mike. I see the poll numbers. I'm pleased to see that most of you are saying yes. I hope that we haven't scared some of you off with some of our comments. If we if for whatever reason this is not good timing for you or your college, we'll give you some ideas. Keep us in mind for the next cohort. We'll be doing things pretty much the same time next year. You can use time this year to address any obstacles that you think might get in the way of your active participation this coming year. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to contact the Mentor-Connect staff, and we'd be happy to discuss your particular situation and discuss any options with you that we might find appropriate. So I'll turn it over to Elaine to outline the resources available through the Mentor-Connect program at this point. Thanks, and good luck.
Thanks, Dennis. Now we'll tell you a little bit more about the Mentor-Connect resources that have been mentioned. The Mentor-Connect resource library, you will find a curated collection of items that are specific to grant writing, NSF, and the ATE program. Some content comes directly from NSF publications, but to help you, we have extracted the portions of an NSF document that you will need. Actual ATE small grant proposals are available as examples of funded projects. There are timelines and checklists to help you along the way to grant submission. And there are more than 100 frequently asked questions that have come from people like you seeking answers about NSF ATE grants. A special feature is a glossary of terms to help you make sense of the acronyms in NSF or government terminology. All of this is readily available and searchable at www.mentor-connect.org. As Osa mentioned, we also have a help desk to answer your questions by way of phone or email. Leadership development is very important for all of us. Leaders at every level is a new business imperative in this country, and academic institutions are no exception. Our observation has been that those faculty who develop competitive grant proposals, become grantees, and implement NSF ATE projects at their institution develop leadership skills that they may never have had the opportunity to develop otherwise. We talk a lot about this during Mentor-Connect, and our data show that this is more likely than not to happen to Mentor-Connect mentees. This chart is very important because it has all of the critical dates associated with the Mentor-Connect participation. I think this duplicates a lot of information on the handout as well. The applications, as Dennis said, are available now. The deadline for submission is given. It's October the 12th. Those accepted will be notified on or before November 9th. Following team selection, there are other important dates to note. Participation in 2 face-to-face workshops is a requirement for Mentor-Connect cohort participants. So it is essential that you check the dates of project activities and make certain that you will be able to commit to participation. Participants in the next cohort will need to register for the winter workshop no later than December 14th. As previously noted, the winter workshop will be February the 5th through the 8th, 2019 in New Orleans, Louisiana. The summer workshop will be July 22nd through 25th in St. Louis, Missouri. Webinars are held in the spring, and these are our technical assistance webinars where we walk you through special proposal requirements step by step, line by line, help you understand what you need to do. And those webinars are best viewed live when we broadcast them, because then you can ask questions like you have during today's webinar. But they may be viewed from the archived version if necessary. Now, Mike, let's take a minute to answer any final questions our participants may have.
Thank you, Elaine. We have a couple of questions. Let me start, first of all, with the PI, co-PI questions. Would you say that an employee of an industry partner could be PI?
It's wonderful to have industry partners involved in your project, and I have seen successful projects where there was an industry person who served on the leadership team for that project. However, the principal investigator should probably be somebody who works at your institution and preferably teaching faculty at the institution. It may be a department head or a division dean or chair that teaches and does administrative work. That's fine. But what you learn as you start working on a NSF ATE proposal is that the faculty, these are faculty-driven, faculty-led proposals. And so having somebody who is actually in the classroom teaching students, they're just going to have a certain knowledge that informs these proposals that just will be missing otherwise. And from a pragmatic standpoint, if you have somebody in a principal investigator, co-principal investigator role, you sometimes put that the person in a position where it's more challenging to get things done at the college. The college will have restrictions on who can put in purchase requisitions, who can, request a school car to go somewhere. All kinds of things come along with being an employee, and some authorizations you can get as an employee that you simply can't if you're external to the organization. So it's great to have them involved. I would be extremely cautious about putting them in a PI position.
Now, one of our participants mentioned that an industry person can be a co-PI. I think that's a great opportunity to engage them at that level, isn't it?
Yes. because then you can define that person's role in a way that they can be a tremendous help to your project, but yet the project won't get held up because they can't get something done.
Now, going back to the Mentor-Connect team that is applying for support, what would you think if they included a high school partner as part of that team? How would you view that?
Oh, we encourage that. Some very successful projects have had high school co-principal investigators.
Dennis commented in the chat box that you get somewhere around 30 applications. How many awards do you make for the Mentor-Connect program?
We select 20 colleges a year, and we've had close to 40 applications some years, and some years it's closer to 30.
Okay.
But you saw from the percentage earlier that we've been able to accept about 2/3 of the ones who apply each year, and eventually we have been able to get the ones who weren't selected the first time. We get them on another round.
Do you make any regional allocations, or you just take them based on merit?
We do not have allocations, and it is merit. The fact remains that if they are eligible for new to ATE, they are going to increase the geographic diversity when they come into the ATE program. And so for that reason, we don't have to say, well, we've already had one from California, we now need one from Oregon. We actually look at these proposals, and they've been wonderfully diverse. We have a team from Puerto Rico this year, for instance.
Excellent. Elaine, I'm going to change the slide. There's a question slide, but now let me just, as we're chatting here, let's put up these connectors here, the email, Facebook, and Twitter connections for Mentor-Connect. Now tell us, once again, I know we've said it, but encapsulate for us, I'm preparing my Mentor-Connect application. I'm not writing a proposal, I'm preparing the Mentor-Connect application. What are my top 3 things I should make sure I get right?
You need to pick a good team. The information that you provide on the application should be consistent. I'll just tell you some things that have derailed some colleges in the past. We have had a grant writer or someone else at the college who kind of wrote a statement about what they wanted to do with their ATE project. And then there were 2 faculty statements. And not only did the 2 faculty statements not say the same thing about what they were interested in doing. These 2 faculty were interested in doing 2 different things, but neither one of them sounded like they were on the same page with the person who wrote the draft of what the project was going to be about. So obviously there was an internal disconnect there, and so a proposal where the 2 faculty members and the statement from the college about what this project will be about, if those are consistent, that really does help. Complete applications, we haven't had much of a trouble with that. Most people do submit complete applications. So that's really the big thing, is just giving us a really, a good idea. It doesn't have to be completely fleshed out, but it has to be very, very focused on the ATE program. We have not been able to accept one time, for instance, that was very globally STEM. In other words, they were going to improve STEM education in a kind of a global way. That's not specific enough to technician education. It really needs to drill down a little deeper than that. And to have some sense of what your need is in your area. If you can say in your statement that you're going to address a particular industry need, a gap, a skills gap, a recruitment issue that you have, usually there's a problem or a challenge that these projects are good projects, give you the resources to address, and so that you can move forward.
I think I've got it, Elaine. You take a good idea, focused on a strong need. You're very consistent in your application, and you hit all the marks on the application. I think that's a good set of recommendations. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. Great. Elaine, that brings us to the conclusion of our webinar. Folks, don't run away yet. We've got a request for you. On this slide, I'm going to launch in just a moment a brief survey. There are some questions for you to answer, and when I click the right button, it'll open in a separate browser in your machine. And some browsers don't do it. I'll also put the link in the chat window as well. Elaine, Dennis, Osa, thank you very much. Ellen, thank you very much for being part of today's presentation, just full of interesting information, a lot of questions in the chat, so we appreciate that. So here we go, folks. Let's go ahead and launch that survey. And then, hold on just a second, and then we'll get ourselves out.
And Mike, I'd like to remind our participants that any questions you might have had that you didn't get typed quickly enough in the chat box or come to you after this broadcast, please reach out to us. Send us an email, give us a call. We'll be glad to answer your questions. That's good. Elaine, thank you very much. Folks, I'm noticing on our test machines that the survey is opening. It's sort of overlaying the presentation. You're still logged in. You can see it underneath there. Go ahead and click on these questions, your responses, and then you can always turn back to the presentation. Colleagues, that officially ends our presentation for today. I'm going to stop the recording. And just as a reminder, you'll automatically get the link to the slides and the recording. It takes us about 2 business days to do that. Colleagues, thanks again for joining Mentor-Connect Forever. We'll see you on the next webinar.